It was an ordinary Friday afternoon, hot and sticky as usual, and the queue at the local ATM stretched down the block like it always did at the end of the month. People were restless, fidgeting, some checking their balance on mobile apps while others muttered under their breath. Among the crowd stood a woman named Alina, a kindergarten teacher in her late 20s. She was dressed in a faded cotton kurta, her sandals dusty from the walk, holding a small brown purse with exactly 3,200 rupees left inside. She wasn't rich by any means, but she never acted like she was lacking either. Her father used to say, "The richest people are those who make others feel seen," and she tried to live by that. As she moved closer to the front, Alina noticed a man walking slowly toward the back of the line. He looked tired, exhausted even. His shirt, though expensive-looking, was wrinkled, and his shoes were covered in a layer of dust, as if he had walked for hours. His eyes were sunken, carrying the weight of something invisible but heavy. When he reached the line, some people frowned at him, others whispered. A few even snorted, clearly annoyed by his presence. The man stopped behind her, hesitant, looking unsure if he even belonged there. Alina turned slightly and smiled. "You okay?" He blinked, surprised that someone had spoken to him kindly. "Yeah, just a long day," he muttered. Then came the sound that everyone dreads at an ATM, an error beep from the machine. The line groaned. A man ahead cursed under his breath. As the next few customers tried and failed, it became clear, the ATM was nearly out of cash. Alina was third in line now. Her heartbeat picked up. She needed the money for her mother's medication and groceries for the week. She could see her turn coming up, so close. But something made her glance back at the man again. This time, she saw more clearly. He wasn't just tired. He looked lost. "Do you need to go first?" she asked impulsively, taking a step aside. The murmurs around her grew louder. A woman behind scoffed. "Seriously? There's barely money left, and you're letting him cut?" But Alina didn't care. She saw something in him, desperation, not entitlement. "I'll be quick," he said, voice low. "Thank you." He stepped forward, inserted his card, and waited. A long pause. Then the machine whirred, and like magic, it dispensed cash. Not just one bill, but a stack. He took out only a portion, then stood frozen, staring at the money like it didn't feel real. Alina smiled politely, stepping up next. To her relief, the machine still had cash. Not much, but enough. She withdrew what she needed and walked away without giving it a second thought. What she didn't know was that the man she let cut in line wasn't just any man. His name was Rayan Malik. A reclusive millionaire who, until 48 hours ago, had everything: cars, a penthouse, a thriving tech company. But an internal betrayal by his business partner had drained every account, stolen every document, and triggered a media scandal that falsely painted him as a fraud. His phones were off, his lawyers unavailable, and his family, those who had always relied on his wealth, had turned cold when the money disappeared. He had spent the last day sleeping in his car, eating nothing, trying to prove his identity to banks that refused to let him access anything without verification. That particular ATM accepted one of his oldest dormant cards, just activated an hour ago by a sympathetic clerk, and finally gave him access to a small reserve fund he had long forgotten existed. Alina's one act of kindness had given him more than a place in line, it had given him hope. That maybe the world hadn't turned its back on him entirely. That night, Rayan didn't go to a hotel. He returned to the same ATM corner and sat, thinking. Then he went back through the ATM's camera footage, asking the bank security the next morning to help him identify the woman who had let him through. It took some effort, but eventually he found her workplace, the small, cheerful kindergarten with a blue gate and a crayon-painted sign that read, "Happy Hearts." He stood outside for an hour before he walked in. Alina was on the floor, helping a child tie their shoelace when he entered. "Miss Alina?" he asked, and she looked up, confused. "You remember me?" he asked gently. She nodded slowly, standing up. "The ATM?" He smiled. "I just wanted to say thank you." That small gesture meant everything. "I was at the lowest point in my life that day." She looked surprised. "It was nothing, really." "No," he said firmly. "It wasn't nothing. And I want to do something in return." Before she could protest, he handed her an envelope. "Please open this later. And if you ever need anything. I mean it, anything, I'll be here." Then he left as quickly as he came. Alina opened the envelope after school. Inside was a check for 2 million rupees. Along with it, a note. "You reminded me that kindness isn't gone. And because of that, I want to help someone who hasn't forgotten how to be human. This isn't charity. It's gratitude." Alina was speechless. She tried to return the check through the contact information he'd included, but he wouldn't take it back. Instead, he encouraged her to use it to build something bigger. And she did. Within a year, Alina opened a new school, free for children of low-income families. She named it Second Chances Academy. Rayan, having rebuilt his company from scratch with the right people this time, became the school's silent sponsor. No one in the town really knew the full story. They only saw a once-tired man who now smiled more often, and a young teacher whose heart was as big as her dreams. But for the two of them, that one small moment at an ATM had rewritten the course of their lives. A small act of kindness had turned into something extraordinary. And that's how the richest man in the room became rich again, not from the money he regained, but from the humanity he had nearly forgotten. Because sometimes, it takes losing everything to see the people who truly matter. And sometimes, it takes letting someone cut in line to change the world.